and things have gone very, very wrong for England. Every journalist, every former player, every former manager is going to be asked their opinion, and they are going to be honest. And we've heard a lot from lots of former players and managers over the past couple of days. It's the World Cup final here in New York in 2 days' time. Lots of former players are here for that game. And my colleague Gary Cottrell has been catching up with some of them and asking them what went wrong for England.
Listen, that comes from the style of players, that if you pick a certain style of player and you don't see that in the training ground, you don't see that in the training sessions, then he's saying what he sees. And he picked a side to play a particular way of playing, and if it wasn't that, then that's fine. But listen, I do think there are players in our country that are players that you would suggest can play. I think the likes of some of the players that didn't go or didn't play can do that, but the identity and the profile of player that he picked were probably more in terms of, I'm not saying they can't play, but their super strengths would be more in terms of physical running power and providing big moments. But listen, the manager has his right, and that's his job to pick the players that he wants for his team. But there are a good list of players that are good people that can take the ball under pressure and beat presses and whatnot.
So, Carve, we're going to hear from Thomas Tuchel in his final news conference at the World Cup a bit later. Is he going to need to wear a tin hat?
You make a very good point, Mike. Look, I remember talking to you on Tuesday before the game against Argentina, and you were asking me what kind of questions was Thomas Tuchel going to be asked in his news conference before that World Cup semi-final. And I said to you, Mike, look, this is not the occasion for hard-hitting questions. This is such a big, big game that I think all the questions are going to be pretty easy. That is not going to be the case this evening. The gloves are going to be well and truly off, because I think Thomas Tuchel has lots of questions to answer. I know a lot of the journalists who follow England out here, they want their questions answered. It's not the time to play nice anymore. I think he's got 5 key questions to answer. The first one is, Thomas, be honest with us. Give us a straight answer. Why is Trent Alexander-Arnold not here? Why is the Real Madrid right back not here when you've used 6 different right backs? Second question I would have for him, why did you leave some of your best players at home? Why is Cole Palmer not here? Why is Phil Foden not here? Why is Adam Wharton not here? Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Levi Colwill, Morgan Gibbs-White. Can you please give us a straight answer? Question 3 for him, I think, should be, is your heart still in the England job? Do you really want to spend the next 2 years managing England when you could be managing a big, big club? Does the Nations League excite you? Is that what you want to do for the next 2 years? I would also ask him, what was the point of bringing Kobbie Mainoo here? Apparently you brought him along for the experience. Does he really need the experience? He's a player who starts in midfield for Manchester United. He's a player who started the last Euros final for England in Berlin against Spain. Why bring him along just for the ride if you're not going to play him until the 3rd, 4th place playoff tomorrow? I would also ask him, Thomas, hand on heart, can you tell us how have England improved since you became England manager and since you replaced Gareth Southgate? Can you please give us some specific examples? Because in the last 2 Euros, Gareth Southgate got England to the final. They almost won the first one. They only lost out on penalties to Italy. The second one 2 years ago against Spain, they were beaten by the better team. But if you remember, Gareth Southgate brought on a substitute. That substitute's name was Cole Palmer, and he scored within minutes of coming on.
Carve, forget the tin hat. He's going to need a suit of armour. Thank you very much for the moment, Carve Sol. Now, England play the final game in the USA tomorrow when they face France in the World Cup 3rd place playoff match. Thomas Tuchel will speak to the media in the early hours of tomorrow morning, following a backlash to his claims that it was English football's DNA that caused the defeat by Argentina. Well, Tuchel says he's 100% committed to leading the side into Euro 2028, whilst hitting back at his critics who questioned his tactics in the semi-final. But it seems some of the squad have questions too.
Look, obviously I speak to an awful lot of people around the camp and close to the players, and the feeling I get is that a number of them thought that Thomas Tuchel got his tactical decisions wrong in that semi-final against Argentina. Now, there's not mutiny, there's not a bad feeling between the players and the coach. It would be wrong to say that. They're a very close-knit bunch, and they almost, to a man, feel very, very close and very positive about Thomas Tuchel and Anthony Barry, his assistant. Thomas Tuchel has talked about creating a brotherhood, and I think we've seen it throughout this tournament. But all of that said, a lot of England's players and some of the senior players, I understand, are not happy with the decisions that Thomas Tuchel took. They're not happy that he went hyper-defensive, that he went to a back five and then brought Nico O'Reilly on. So there were 6 defenders on the pitch, 5 of them centre-backs, by the way, for the closing stages, which just handed the ball to Lionel Messi, and of course he punished England eventually. A lot of the players thought it was a mistake, and they weren't on board with it.
Would have lost to Spain in the final because Spain are a great team. We can all take that. There's no problem at all. It was the manner in which we lost. Yeah. You know, when we lost against Croatia, when we lost against Italy in the final, etc., since Gareth Southgate, none of them have been as bad as that yesterday. None of them.
Do you really think that?
Yes, I thought yesterday's performance was awful. I didn't like the Croatia one when we were leading and the Italy one when we were leading. Don't get me wrong, but I've never been so disappointed than last night. That half an hour last night, after we went in the lead in a close game. We broke the deadlock. We're all thinking, this is it now, this is it. To do what they did after that was mind-boggling.
It was very quickly apparent as well, wasn't it, Nathan, after that goal was scored, what was happening?
The England
goal.
with
England.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I thought in the first half, like, they battled and all that stuff, it looked like they were ready to go to this sort of, like, war with Argentina from a footballing standpoint. I saw it. Second half started, they were still the same. They scored to make it 1-0, and I thought, I'll tell you what, I think they're going to do this, you know. That's how it felt in the game.
Yes.
Didn't see it.
So for him to finish the exact opposite way, and again, we spoke about it. Like, I don't know, there'll be many people in England or anyone supporting England who would have thought, you know, after this hydration break, going to a back five is the right thing to do. Not many people would think that, given the pressure that they were under. So that, in some ways, is the alarming thing. And I know we'll talk about...
The back five thing, actually, I'm not that bothered about, to be honest with you. I understand what you said earlier, that it kind of sends a message.
By the way, it feels very generous to put Kane in that position there.
Yeah.
I know, very generous.
I know, right? It wasn't a back five in the end, it was a back 7.
But
Tuchel's adamant it wasn't a negative step with this setup.
Whether it's a back 4 or a back 5, the point is you have to be a certain distance up the field.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't make any difference. If you're going to sit in your own penalty box, you can. It becomes a back 10, which it actually ended up being.
And also, you played in defence. Lionel Messi's not going to run past you.
No.
Julian Alvarez is not going to run past you. No. Even Lautaro Martinez, who came on really late, he's not going to run past you. So why don't you push up? You don't have to go crazy, but the ball over the top is not going to hurt England at all. So that was another reason. It's not as if you've got Kylian Mbappe running past everybody because he's so quick.
This really feels like the day after a game we've just played, and we're trying to figure out why we were so bad.
Yeah.
You know, and every single thing we're saying, we've heard and said in a team meeting when we've had a performance or a result the way it happened like that. You know, things like, why are you letting somebody sit on top of you? You know, as a defender, you don't want your defensive midfielder standing on your toes, so you've got to push him out.
Yeah, get him out the way.
And then he's got to do the same thing. As you said earlier, with whoever starts off closing the ball, you do the same thing.
Yep.
Nobody did anything. They all did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Including the coach.
For me, it's disappointing from the standpoint, like, we'll obviously talk about Argentina and the stuff that they've done, the way that they could sort of recover. And I thought for that 30, 40 minutes, I think that's the best I've seen Argentina this whole tournament.
By a mile.
I would say, arguably, that's as good as I've seen Messi in an Argentina shirt, possibly across even the last 2 tournaments. I thought he was incredible. But England, like, Argentina could smell blood. They saw that England were doing that. Like, when they're coming off that hydration break and the players are looking around, seeing what's going on, oh, who they're bringing on. Oh, Gordon's going off. That's interesting. Because he's the one that had the speed and threat to potentially getting behind. Oh, I guess this means this is the game it's going to be. And that there, like, it's obviously easier for us to say at this moment in time and to sense what it is, but as former players, you're right, Stevie, we've been in dressing rooms after games like this and known exactly what the issues were, but then you wonder, well, why couldn't we have changed that? And sometimes as a player, you can't change that. So that's when you look to the side.
Correct.
And if he would have made, in my opinion, obviously it's a lot easier for us to say from our position, if he would have made stronger decisions like he's being paid to do, not to make it to a semi-final, because, again, let's be fair, England were favourites for every game they've played in at this World Cup, every single game. So for them to be at this stage isn't a surprise.
Isn't a surprise, yeah.
Isn't a surprise.
Nope.
So he's there to make the stronger decisions. That's what they said would set him apart. His cup record, he's this, he's ruthless. All of a sudden, he turned into the meekest, mildest manager I've ever seen.
So England are out now, so let's stop talking about them. We must talk about the team that has progressed. But there is a lot. But in the final 10 minutes, he assisted both of the goals and made history by making it 12 all-time World Cup assists. All the papers with the playmaking magic of Lionel Messi on the front of them. And there was a lot of talk about Lionel Messi with Santi Solari and Craig Burley on last night's show after the game.
Lionel Messi is the greatest player I have ever seen. He's the greatest I've ever seen at doing things on the field, all over the field. Whether it's goals, whether it's assists, whether it's passes around the corner, whether it's beating players individually, whether it's taking a nation on your back. I mean, he could go back-to-back World Cup winner.
Everybody thought now in this World Cup, which is his third final, by the way, doing what he's doing in this World Cup at 39 years old. I think that's out of the wildest dreams of anybody, any analyst, any player, any fan. What we are witnessing in the world of sport, I mean, not only Argentinians, is something unique and something I don't think we'll ever see again.
Some Messi stats to make it your eyes weep, basically, especially if you're an England player. 10 successive dribbles against England, which is the most in a game this World Cup. When it comes to the goals, he's leading the Golden Boot race with the 8, tied for first with Mbappe, but under the assist tiebreaker, Messi is on top of the standings right there now. Big chances created, first in that as well. Chances created overall, first in that. Successful crosses, probably no surprise, first in that. Through ball tied first and assist tied second as well. And as Santi just said, Steve, he's doing this at 39 years old. It's like he's getting these potentially 2 World Cups here in the latter part of his career.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Nathan. I thought he was phenomenal yesterday, particularly when they needed him in that last 35 minutes of the game. He did everything correctly, didn't he? His movement was brilliant, his speed of thought was excellent, and then, of course, he gets his assists, which we know. But the fact that he's just driven his team forward, I think he's better this... I mean, his stats on moving and walking, etc., actually doesn't even matter anymore, because when he's that efficient, you know, what he can do, and in the biggest game, as you rightly said, he put his team on his back and said, come with me again. That is a proper leader. He's not the most vocal, he doesn't do many interviews, etc., but what he does on the pitch, follow me, guys, and they all follow him, they all protect him, they all go mad when he gets kicked, don't they? You can see how important he is for the team. And I just thought he was exceptional last night. It was lovely. It was a really nice story. As much as I was upset about England losing and the way they lost, I just thought, to celebrate this guy at 39 years of age, I thought he was exceptional yesterday.
Unbelievable stuff, Stevie, isn't it?
Do you know, I think we all see the goals and the passes and all the wonderful things that we all wish we could do. And I always think, and I certainly thought about it the other day, you know, I'm listening to Thomas Tuchel going, well, we've had some tough games and it's been hot and we're a bit fatigued, right? And I'm thinking, hold on a second, there's a little guy who's 39 years of age right there, who was the best player in the last half hour of the game.
Who's breaking records as well.
Yeah, who not only was quicker than everybody in your team, but nobody could knock him off the ball. You know, we always talk about Ronaldo, about his physique and all. Nobody mentions Messi's physique. Because in that last 30 minutes, he's dribbling around in circles trying to get away from 2 and 3 England players, and they're all trying to knock him over. They couldn't knock him over. They couldn't get the ball off him, they couldn't knock him over. And he's 39 years of age. So, listen, along with all the talent and all the vision and all the touch and all the goals and all the other things, he has an inner strength in him that is just unshakable.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's so good. Like, I'm 39 years of age. I'm washed up. You know what I mean? Just for the way that in that game, the way that game was going, like. For me, it wasn't one of those games where for Argentina, they're just like, oh, where's Messi? Just give it to Messi. They were still structured around everything that they were doing. But his command of that sort of like inner right-hand side, he gets the ball, here comes Montiel, or here's Rodrigo de Paul, or this. And when he has those options, and you know he can beat you both ways.
There, wasn't there?
Rodrigo de Paul and Rodrigo de Paul, or Montiel, you know. But he just sees a different game, and the point you've made about how strong...
I think head coaches like Thomas Tuchel are very lucky that I'm not still a journalist that's on the road doing football, because if I had heard that in a press conference, my hand would have gone up immediately and I would have asked you, well, what's your job as a head coach then? Because I'm pretty sure your job as a head coach is to put your DNA, your style of football, your imprint into a collective. I mean, excuse me, my memory must be serving me incorrect here. I'm pretty sure England's number 10 plays for Real Madrid. That's a possession-based team. Pretty sure England's number 9 plays for Bayern Munich. Pretty sure that's a possession-based team. Pretty sure their wingers play for Arsenal and their centre midfielders play for Arsenal, who go out and dominate possession in a majority of their games in the Champions League and whatever else. Please don't embarrass my intellect. Please don't embarrass how long I've been covering this game. It's making stupid statements like, oh, we haven't got the DNA. The DNA? I've been watching England teams for a long while go into major tournaments, and I can honestly say there's no cohesion, there's no collectiveness, they look like a bunch of individuals. And I've always turned around and said, well, it's the job of the coach to put together a group of players and say, hey, this is our identity, this is what we're going to play with. Be honest about it. You went into a game, and up to the hydration break, you were happy and content to do what happened in Mexico, to do what happened in the previous game before that against Norway, which was to sit in and defend. Unfortunately, it didn't work out because, hey, you know what? You're playing against better opposition. But we've all been playing this game for how long? You know the better opposition you play against is the harder it's going to be to do anything. He didn't adapt. You didn't adapt in the middle of a game. You didn't make any adjustments. That's not on the players, bro. That's on yourself.
So the original question, is Tuchel the right manager? I'm curious of what your thoughts are, because what if he learns from his mistakes? Because I have my opinion. What's that?
Does that sound like accountability? Because the first part about learning from your mistakes is accountability. Yeah. I'm a grown man, I'm an adult, right? If I make a mistake, I have to turn around and accept that. I'm not going to turn around and put it on a whole bunch of people. And I've seen it happen. We saw it happen in the last game where he was questioning Jude Bellingham and the commitment of the players and all the rest of it.
And that's my biggest problem.
And I'm sitting here now like, well, is this a common theme? Because it seems to be now a further disconnect between you and the players.
Exactly. My biggest problem with him is that I could even give him a pass for maybe he said it the wrong way, or he was under pressure and maybe he lied, or he made it an excuse. Maybe he learns from what he did. I think you need to possession. I don't need possession, but you need some sort of counterattack when you're defending deep. But the problem with Tuchel for me is, do the players want to play for him? And if the players don't want to play for him at the international level, I don't see it being a positive.
If he had taken accountability, I would say, hey, listen, I made a mistake. We should have kept some attacking players on. And reflected in a meaningful way, then you say, okay, that might be somebody we want to give a second chance to. But because he's now passing the responsibility onto somebody else and saying, well, it's not in the DNA of the players, I can understand why you wouldn't want him back and why the players could be frustrated with him.
Well, Lisandro Martinez has defended his decision to celebrate Argentina's win over England with a banner which read, "The Malvinas are Argentine," on the pitch after the full-time whistle. He was one of several Argentina players seen with the flag. Las Malvinas is the term used in Argentina for the Falkland Islands, an overseas territory owned by the United Kingdom, which remain the subject of a sovereignty dispute between the two nations. Sky Sports News has contacted FIFA for comment. Well, this is what Martinez said in defence of his actions. "I can picture a Malvinas veteran seeing that and weeping. I don't know if there might be sanctions or not. But what they did was display that banner and assert that the islands belong to us." His teammate Leandro Paredes also discussed it after the game.
Sadly, it's a sad part of our history, for everyone involved in that chapter of our history, and it hurts. We knew we were playing for them too, for all the people, for our entire nation. I believe we did it in the best possible way.
Well, the Prime Minister's spokesperson has responded to the controversy, saying the World Cup might not be ours, but the Falklands definitely are. Our position is unchanged, and our commitment to the Falklanders is unwavering. The PM wishes both teams well for the final, especially Spain. The leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey, has called on FIFA to ban the Argentina players involved in the incident.
Well, I've written to the president of FIFA because these are the rules that he is supposed to implement and make sure are adhered to. It's a clear breach of FIFA's rules, what happened with those Argentine players making a political statement with that banner, which is deeply insulting to the people of the Falkland Islands and to the families of the veterans who gave their lives against that illegal invasion. For that to happen, that's why FIFA has those rules. And FIFA should therefore implement those rules, and that would mean a ban for the 6 Argentine players who were holding that banner and celebrating around it. It couldn't be clearer, and it's about time FIFA acted.